EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB postgame show. The Philadelphia Eagles survive and advance, and will take on the Washington Commanders next week for the NFC title game. What a game, Big Sills. That was one of the best football games I've ever watched. There's nothing like a snow game. That thing was back and forth. What an insane game, and the Philadelphia Eagles prevail on a big stop from the defense, as it has been all year, and they win 28-22 in this game. Big Sills, welcome into the postgame show, brother. Your first thoughts after watching that game unfold.
What an absolutely monstrous game by Jalen Carter and Saquon Barkley. I mean, those two guys were forces out there. And again, spotty play calling. I thought at the very end of the ball game by Kellen Moore. Throwing the ball, there was no reason. You had a guy who was averaging over 10 yards a carry. Why wouldn't you just continue to run the football, especially in a weather game like this? It just didn't seem to make sense on how they kept them in it. I mean, the Rams fought as hard as they could. And again, this is what we said that they had to do. Zander, they had to kind of overperform, which they did in the run game a bit. And I got to tell you, that front four and that front five with the linebackers, they had a way better football game than they did in week 12. I know Barkley got his, and there were big explosion plays. But I thought every time, Zander, that the Eagles got in third and long, I thought the pass rush of the Rams got home. Jalen Hurts took 5 sacks in the ball game. So, I mean, I thought every time they put him in third and long, I thought the Rams got the better of that sequence. And when the Eagles were able to run the football, they were getting high explosion plays when it came to running the football.
Sills, I'm taking the sacks, I'm throwing them out the window. I'm taking the passing yards, I'm throwing them out the window. I'm taking the fumbles, I'm throwing them out the window. We're going to the NFC title game. That's a massive win for this Philadelphia Eagles team at home in a crazy back and forth game. Sills, let's recap the game a little bit. Go in through the first half was a wild one.
They kept them in it, though, Zander.
The second half, man, that's when the game really got insane, just back and forth. You know, you thought for sure the Eagles had the commanding lead when it was 28-4 or 28-15 at that point. Jake Elliott had 3 big kicks. I know he missed the 2-point afters, but just a crazy game. Saquon Barkley goes for 205 and 2 touchdowns in this game. I'm throwing everything out. It's a snow game. I don't care about sacks. I don't care about passing yards. I don't care about anything. You got the win. You survive and advance, Sills. And now we're going to host the Commanders next week in the NFC title game in Philly.
Once again, too, how the game played on and why the game was a back and forth is because, again, as I'll say, you know, the going back and forth in the passing. And I'm not even talking about Jalen. I'm talking about Kellen making a cognizant effort in throwing the ball. You kept the team that was inferior to you in the ball game, and they had one more time. Here's another opportunity for them to win the ball game, and you gave the Rams a chance to win the ball game. Again, you kept them in it. That game felt like, I don't know, every time I looked up, I couldn't believe the score was in one score opportunity. The Eagles just kept them in it. I mean, I think they made it a little bit harder on themselves in this ball game as they move on to the NFC title game. Look, like I said, dude, I'll give this. Saquon Barkley was an A+. Everyone around him, the play calling, I thought it was good. They don't have to play superstar football to be anything on that offense. All they need is that defense. And I'll tell you the story of if the Eagles win the Super Bowl in 2024, 2025, it'll be the story of the defense and Barkley on how this football team won, because that's exactly how you won that football game. And you were tougher, man. Remember what I said, Zander? You're going to have to prove to me you can stop that run. They couldn't again. Is it right? Am I right when I say this? Barkley had 500 yards rushing in 2 games against that Rams defense.
He had 255 in the first game and 205 today. So 460 yards, plus he had probably 50-plus passing. He probably had over 500 total yards. By the way, can I just push back on you on one thing? Sure. I mean, so it's a playoff snow game. Okay. I mean, look, I don't think Kellen made all great calls, but what are you expecting it to be pretty? It's a football.
No, I didn't want it pretty. I wanted them to run the football. No, I wanted him to run the football and kill the clock because they were dominating. Quite frankly, are you really going to try to throw the football when you got a running back that is averaging, okay, over 20 yards, almost 20 yards a carry, and you're going to fucking throw the ball to keep the game close? Sorry, man. Not me. You're dominating.
The one call I hated was the call.
Why would you go and stop the clock? I disagree. All right, good. All right.
Well, no, I was saying the one play I hated was the timing, when he took a safety. I mean, you have a 5-step drop at the 5-yard line.
I think he got banged up there, though, Zander. I think it was tough for him.
The knee was definitely a problem.
Yeah, he got banged up a little bit, I thought, in there. Get this, Zander. The Eagles were averaging 8.4 yards a carry. Run that fucking ball down their throat, man. Run that ball down their throat. The Rams have shown no way that they could have stopped that. The only thing that I said is, again, stopping the clock like that and giving them possessions, that's what that possession resulted to at the end of the game. By the way, like you said, Zander, you're on to the NFC title game. I thought you just made that game a little bit tougher for yourself to move on to that game. It's a great win, no question. You're in a conference championship for the second time in 3 years against an opponent. Once again, you're better than. Let's keep it going here. Let's see how they perform against this kid. This kid's going to be better. I don't think the Eagles will not be the underdog, obviously, in that game. They'll be favored by 1 in that football game. There's no reason, like I tweeted out last night, there's not a chance. I don't think the Eagles are not in New Orleans.
Well, listen, I do think when you could talk about that NFC title game next week, you're going to need Kellen Moore to call a better game than he called today. But the only thing I push back on is, I mean, Saquon did have 26 carries. I do think it was a 30-plus game with the way he was running the ball. 26 carries and 205. I mean, you already said it. You're averaging 8 yards a carry. But, I thought the Eagles made plays when they needed to make plays. Obviously, you lost Quinyon Mitchell in that game. So let's talk about the defense a little bit. Everybody's talking about a great defensive performance. It was, no doubt about it. And they created some big turnovers. Jalen Carter made huge plays, but they did give up 402 yards in the snow. And Matthew Stafford did move the ball when he needed to move the ball. They had a chance there at the end of the game. Man, my heart's still racing from watching that game, man, at the end. How about that Puka Nacua catch down the sideline? I thought for sure
that I thought he was out of bounds. I
know, and he got the feet in. I mean, just crazy the way that whole game unfolded. Like I said, I'm still winding down from it, but crazy stuff, man. What'd you see from the defense side? I thought Oren Burks made a couple of good plays, got his hands up. Jalen Carter continues to wreck games, and Zach Bond. I mean, Zach Bond just continues to prove his value to this football team. They're going to get him signed this offseason.
How about this too, man? Jalen Hunt showing some pressure. Him getting back there, the project kid, the way they set the edge on the defense, Burks with 10 tackles in the ball game, or 6 or 7 tackles, I think, in the ball game. I mean, filling in just great for him. Made some big plays himself. Bond was there. The loss of Q, I'll tell you what, now, if it's significant enough where you don't have him in the NFC Championship game, that means you're going to be without Nakobe Dean and Quinyon Mitchell in that game against Washington. That might be something for next week as we sit around and prepare for that Commanders game. But that's something moving forward. I thought Isaiah Rodgers got a little bit exposed back there in the secondary a couple times. Let's not forget here, man. In the snow, like you said, Zander, Matthew Stafford threw the ball for 320 yards in the game, and he had 2 touchdowns in the ball game. I mean, he was 26 of 44, and he had to throw that many times. I said at the beginning of the show, the pregame show, I said that you're going to see Hurts at around 160 yards and potentially 45 yards rushing. Well, he had 128 yards passing, and he had a huge 70 yards in running the football, and he ended up getting a touchdown in there. That's an efficient game for him, man. I thought, like you said, in the weather, the way it was, they didn't go high percentage turnover opportunities with the passing attempts. They kept it around 20. Okay. So again, it wasn't high volume. I thought it was just situationally that I would have thought, again, a little bit different in the game plan. I thought they sacked them 5 times. They sacked them 7 times in the ball game. And the defensive front, when they were able to get the Eagles in 3rd and long, I thought they beat the Eagle offensive line in pass protection. I thought Jordan Mailata had a tough day against Jared Verse. I thought Jared Verse had a great day on him today.
I will tip my cap to him. All right. You say that about Philly fans. You come in here with billboards and everything and the like, and you show up. I mean, he almost stepped in. I think it was John McMullen who tweeted out, he's embracing the villain like a WWE superstar. And he did. You got to give him credit. You got to tip your cap to him.
You know what my wife said watching it? My wife goes like this. That's somebody Philly fans could probably really wrap their arms around. Yeah. He's somebody like that walks in there.
That's a future Eagle right there. So
it shows up, and you know what? He plays hard, and you're like this. Hey, you're an asshole, but really a good game by you. Whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the kind of game you look at a guy and you give him his kudos.
Yeah, so this really had the makings of a classic. I know you can analyze the games and the drives and the players, and the one guy I'll talk about is AJ Brown. I'm going to get your take on him, obviously, but this was just one of those games, dude. You didn't know which way the ball was going to bounce. Kyron Williams put the ball on the ground twice. I mean, it was or Matt Stafford, excuse me, the other fumble, but just a crazy game. It was unbelievable watching it unfold with the snow coming down and the way that the second half went. I thought for sure the game was over when Saquon Barkley broke that 72-yard touchdown run. I'm like, oh, that's ball game. And then there come the Rams right back down the field to get into the end zone, and then the Eagles go 3 and out. See, that's where I agree with you with Kellen Moore. Like, you need one first down to end the game, and you have Jalen Hurts rolling around the back 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage on a second down call. I didn't understand that at all.
Then you got situationally a few times.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I don't want to nitpick on it too much because you win the game, but you're right. You're definitely right about
situationally, again, I thought the things the Eagles did, they kept them in it. You could see the Rams ran those stretch plays too to get a little bit of that run game going. Williams did end up with over 100 yards in the ball game, so they were able to get some type of play action. Stafford, again, he throws for 320 yards in the snow with no turnovers, which is freaking incredible on how well he played. I'll tell you who else played well. Gardner Johnson in run support. Yeah. I thought he really set the edge coming up on run support, kept a lot of people contained in the backfield. I thought he had a pretty good game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I agree 100%. What'd you make of Vic Fangio's game call? I thought, like I said, it's tough to analyze. The defense made some big plays, obviously came up with some turnovers. They continue to be the reason I think that this team wins football games. Not trying to take anything away from the guys on offense, but if you don't have this defense making some of the plays that they do, you're just not going to win some of these football games. And they continue to make plays. Just what you thought of Vic Fangio and what he did today. I know Matt Stafford, they had 402 total yards of offense. So you can't say you shut them down, but you did create plays that you needed, positive plays for the defense, and you got out of there with a win.
And they had 5-3 a carry. They did a really nice job, I thought, at pass protection at times. But then late in the second half, I thought the Eagle defense showed up, and that's when they really started putting the pressure on them. And they had a better second half, the Eagle D-line, than in the first half. But, look, Stafford was 6 of 16 on third down. It's not horrible. They ran a total of 71 plays. They ran more than what the Eagles ran. And Eagles had 350 yards of total offense. And like you said, 402 for the Rams. They were able to move the ball. To me, it was one of those bend but don't break kind of performances that they ended up getting. And that's what you usually get, Zander, in a game like that, in a weather game. Because the one thing, you know what? You said something that was really great in the pregame show. And I think it really played out. The snow, I think, neutralized a lot of the skill set people that the Eagles had. And I think that benefited the Rams. And I think that kept the Rams. That was that one thing you were looking for that could be kind of like an equalizer.
The Rams were the team that needed something like that.
And the Rams benefited more from that than what the Eagle guys benefited. And that's what I think kept that game a little closer. And some of the situational stuff that I mentioned. But the weather helped the Rams, I thought, more so because in the passing game.
Yeah, especially in the first half, I thought it really gave the advantage to the Rams. I think the Eagles were able to take advantage of it a little bit in the second half with the way they they really got Saquon Barkley going. Dude, how about him? He is what an unbelievable football player he is. He had two massive touchdowns today. He's got now 4 touchdowns versus the Rams this year, and all of them sells are over 60 yards. This dude's the greatest running back to ever play in Philly. Is it fair to say that? I know you got great players, and I'm not trying to disrespect any of them. Brian Westbrook, Shady McCoy. There's been some unbelievable running backs that have been in the city of brotherly love. but this is the greatest single season without a doubt. And it might be the greatest running back to ever be in Philly. He could lead us to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that's the greatest offensive line you've ever had.
Yeah, well, that's true. That helps.
Okay, so, if you give me that line with Westbrook or Shady, how
That's true. That's
and
scary.
wide receivers.
Yeah.
So I think it's relative. By the way, here, I'll say this to you. I did not think he was that good. And I got to tell you, when he broke into the open, I cannot stop thinking about the New York Giants and everybody saying it was in the best interest that they moved. How do you move off of that with consistently getting 120 to 200-yard games every freaking game? He has been the most – you know what? Let's do this, Zander. Of all NFL football players this year, I have not seen a game really where that guy has been stopped. He has just been one of the most unstoppable and matters to you winning. You could make the argument, Jamar Chase. Look at all the yards, Sil. Yeah, where are they? You're winning games because of this guy, and he's not a quarterback. Boy, I'll tell you, the most valuable player or the most valuable person to their team, man, you take Barkley off that Eagle team, there is no way you're going to New Orleans.
No doubt about it. So, real quick, just to say, I know this game had a lot of different variables, and I understand that. And we appreciate all the people checking in. Look at A-Team. A-Team, thank you, brother. $50 super chat. We appreciate all super chats, and we're going to get to them. In fact, we're going to do it a little different on this post-game show. We're going to get to your super chats a little bit early. So if you're in the chat and you want to be in the conversation, we will get to you guys in a little bit. So appreciate all of you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to the NFC title game, and better yet, we're hosting the NFC title game. Thanks to the Commanders who knocked off the Detroit Lions last night. Crazy weekend of football and a big game tonight to close up the other team in the AFC here. Sills, if the Eagles play like this next week, what do you think that looks like?
I think Washington has a better roster than the Rams do. I think the Rams have a younger roster, especially on the side, than what the Washington Commanders do. I think the quarterback gives you more versatility because Stafford took off one time and almost got its ribs busted. That's not going to be the case here with Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels opens the playbook more and a little bit more. Plus, it's common opponent. So that means that they know what you're going to do. You know what we're going to do. So again, I think that game is setting up for a pretty close football game. Do we not agree the last 2 years, 3 years, that game has always been close? No matter who's quarterbacking it, they're not blowout games. The blowout games are the Giant games. The blowout games are not the Washington Commander games. So the Commanders seemingly always match up.
Yeah, you remember last year we went to overtime with them.
Philly.
Yeah. We went to overtime with them last year. They had Sam Howell as their quarterback. Now they got a difference maker at quarterback in Jaden Daniels. That's going to be a great game next week. What a beautiful thing, though, that we're going to host that game in the city of brotherly love. Advantage Eagles because of that. The crowd showed out today, man, in a crazy, crazy atmosphere. I'd love to see somebody in the chat that checked in, man. That was at the game today. It might not be in there yet, but we're looking forward to hearing from you guys when you do check in. So let's talk about A.J. Brown. All right. I don't want to crush him, but boy, a couple big drops in that game. Now, he did come up big on the 1 4th down. They ended up not getting in the end zone on that drive, but they did convert a field goal, so they got him closer with the 4th down. But just what you thought of A.J. Brown in this game. The first drop, it almost looked like he made a business decision. You could see it was over the middle of the field. There was 3 defenders there, didn't corral it. And then the next one, the deep shot down to the goal line, which really could have blew the game open in the first half. A.J. just couldn't corral it. And I thought that was a perfect throw by Jalen Hurts. Your thoughts on A.J. Brown in this game?
I think he's hurt. He's been playing banged up.
Playing more timid.
Business decisions. He just doesn't look right. And he has been on and off the injured list the entire 2 weeks now. There's been questions. John McMullen, even on Birds 365, didn't he say, hey, my concern's not Hurts. My concern is more A.J. Brown. And he was kind of concerned about it the whole time there. And, he just looks like he's not 100%, And I mean, and he's playing like he's not 100%. I mean, that's my takeaway when I'm watching him. It doesn't look the same getting out of the cuts. Now, again, it's kind of tough to gauge that when you're in the snow like that. So I just thought for me, he just looks a little bit timid, like he's nursing an injury.
Yeah, I think you're kind of seeing the same with Jalen. Obviously, he got banged up in that game. That was a tough looking tackle.
That was a tough tackle, man.
Yeah, and you could tell he changed after that a little bit. He wasn't, he got all 70 of those rushing yards pretty much before that tackle. So that was, that's going to be something to watch moving forward. If Jalen doesn't have the ability to, to open up the offense with those legs, that changes the way the Eagles can play. And that's definitely something to watch out for going forward. But just your thoughts on Jalen Hurts and what he did today, because I did think in that first half he had some big runs. Obviously the big 42-yard touchdown run was a big one, but he ended with 10 carries for 70 yards in the game. 7 carries, for 70 yards, so 10 yards a carry. Pretty good game, I thought, for Jalen Hurts.
Before I go into Jalen Hurts, man, I mean, Howie on the sidelines jumping up and down.
Oh, yeah, somebody tagged me in that.
Holy cow, man, this guy's the best cheerleader. Screw the cheerleader tryouts next February. Get the cheerleader tryouts and make sure Howie's out there. Oh, wait, he can't qualify because you have to be 6 feet to be an Eagle cheerleader. So
taking shots at Howie now. Come on, Howie's one guy that will be off limits from the hate on this show because he's assembled a tremendous roster this year. Come on, Sills.
He meant to make it look like this. Anyway, how do I look at Hurts playing? 15 of 20, 128. Saquon Barkley was the ball carrier in this ball game. Jalen's 70 yards and his 7 carries. He's instrumental in the run game. You have, without a doubt, the best tandem running backs of any team in the National Football League with Jalen Hurts and with Saquon Barkley. The 2 best running backs in the NFL are in Philadelphia, Saquon and Jalen. Absolutely, no question about it.
Last week I bought into your bullshit. This week I'm not buying into your bullshit. The snow is pouring down. If
the other guy threw for 320 yards in the snow.
Wait, so all right, no, that's Matthew Stafford. That's a Hall of Fame thrower. I mean, come on, you're not comparing Jalen Hurts to a Hall of Fame thrower here. Listen, I stepped outside though. I mean, this is not Sills. This is not that fuzzy, light, soft snow, man. This is that thick, heavy, wet snow, man. That slushy ass snow.
That's the kind of snow you build an igloo with.
Yeah, it is, man. So it was a crazy game today, man. And Matthew, look, you're right. Matthew Stafford had a good game in the air, and I thought Jalen again did what he needed to do. It was an Eagles win. Your defense made turnovers. Saquon Barkley ran all over the field. Jalen Hurts did what he needed to do, made a couple of throws, 15 to 20, and no turnovers. And the Eagles get out of there with a win. It was a very Eagle-esque win.
Right. You're not going to blow anyone out because you're just going to keep everyone kind of hanging around, but you're going to inflict your will, and you're going to be efficient, and you're not going to turn the ball over. I'll tell you this, there's no question, man.
How do you feel? We're heading to the NFC. Actually, we're hosting an NFC title game. Are you all right? I'm getting the sense you're not quite high energy Sills right now.
Oh no, wait. I'm still really great right now. What have you won? You want to see in the NFC Championship game?
I will say that was an exciting game, man.
Are you shocked? Are you shocked that game was closer?
No, I had a 1-score game. I predicted a 1-score game. I did not think that this was going to be a blowout. I said it to you on the pregame show. I believed the snow was almost.
That's why I'm disappointed because I was expecting a blowout and they kept that team in it. And I don't know, maybe Hey,
well, listen, don't you think that the snow really did act as the equalizer in that game? I mean, no receivers in that game could run routes cleanly on both sides of the ball. You could see it. They weren't getting out of their breaks. They weren't able to cut. They couldn't hold on to the ball. I mean, and shout out to my guy Flexen in the chat. He was on the halftime show, and he's like, watch out for this second half. Somebody's going to turn the ball over, and that's going to be a difference maker in the game. And you could clearly tell in that second half, man, Kyron Williams put the ball on the ground, and then Matthew Stafford and the Eagles took advantage of both of those big turnovers.
What an absolute critical fumble that Williams' fumble was, not only in the first game, but in the second game that they played too, that had the turnovers like that. I mean, bro, you can't turn the ball over like that, man. You just can't. 2 games, 2 turnovers like that.
Yeah.
As good as he is, they were critical turnovers too.
Yep, no doubt about it. Sills, how about Jalen Carter today, brother? How about Jalen? What a wrecker he is, man. Here's a stat for you real quick. Let me see if I can find that stat about Jalen Carter. Carter played 68 out of 70 snaps today. He was double teamed on 26 of his 49 pass rushes against the Rams. He forced a key 3rd down sack on the Rams' final drive, and then he forced a pressure on the 4th down to clinch the game. So shout out to John McMullen, right? He picked the Birds to win, and he picked Jalen Carter to make the game-changing play, and Jalen Carter did just that.
Absolutely, man. I'll tell you this too, bro. If I'm you, man, NFC title game and the Super Bowl are the 2 biggest games of the year, and you don't have a field goal kicker. I mean,
all right, I'm happy you went there. Let's talk about it.
You don't have a field goal kicker.
3 big kicks, though, in the snow and 2 shanked extra points. It's one of those performances you're like, how do I feel about it? He made 3 big kicks that I was pumped about, but he missed 2 extra points, and it's the reason the Rams had a chance late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about him going into the NFC title game
and
Super Bowl?
I tweeted out, stop hating on my guy Elliott. 3 big kicks in the snow. By the way, that 37-yarder, man, that was not an easy kick to make, but 2 missed field goals. I guess you go into the NFC title game the same way you go into this game.
What?
Uncertain.
Hoping?
Uncertain, right? Shaky, a little bit shaky.
Listen to this. So you go into the game. Are you shaky about your defense?
No.
Are you shaky about your O-line?
No.
Are you shaky about your quarterback? I'm not. Are you shaky about your special teams? He's been the
same guy for the last 10 weeks.
I'm
a little shaky on special teams.
Special teams, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Let's read a couple super chats and see what the great people of JAKIB Nation have to say. Yo, clap it up, everybody. We got a grump on the show after the Eagles are going to the NFC title game. And Grumpy Cilio is not happy that the Birds are moving on, baby.
An absolute amazing ball game by Hurts. 128 passing yards and 70 rushing. Fantastic. He's even under his average of 100.
Wait a second, though. Another case of a 300-yard passer.
Another case where the quarterback doesn't have to do shit.
Another case of a 300-yard passer who loses the football game.
That's right. There you go, guys. This is kudos to you. He's trying to make it into hating. Your quarterback doesn't have to do shit. Don't turn the ball over. Throw the ball for 120 yards. You're going to win. Because Barkley's going to go for 200. Wait a minute. So Barkley had more yards than Hurts. Is that right?
Barkley is unbelievable, man. He is unfreaking believable. He had way more yards. Well, Hurts had 70 on the ground, so they're probably right around the same.
Jalen was a star in the he was a star in the run game. I thought he was great until he got hurt.
Barkley did have a lot. Barkley had 238 yards, 240 yards in this game, 205 on the ground and 27 in the air with 4 catches. So he had an insane game. Let's read the super chat here. Jason 18, thank you, brother. $50 super chat here. We're going to check in with the fans now. So check in on the conversation after a big win, and we will host the Commanders for the title. Sills, if you told me at the start of the year you're going to host the Commanders for the NFC title game, I would have told you you're batshit insane, and that's what's happening. So we got a crazy game coming up next week. Extra day of rest.
For all of you over there, Big Sills did say this Commander team was going to be formidable. I picked them to win the East, okay? And I may be wrong, but they get this. How about this, though? They may win the NFC. If Quinyon Mitchell and Nakobe are out for this game, you don't think that's a factor in the game?
That's a factor. Eagles are going to win.
All right.
Next man up mentality, man. What do you want me to sit here and cry like a lynch?
Isaiah and Honorin. All right.
Well, did you see they benched Isaiah for a little bit and went to Keely Ringo, which I thought was a good move. He's more physical player. I liked him in that type of matchup. I saw that. So, Jason 18 checks in. What a game. Not surprised we didn't see Trotter Jr. I'm worried about Jalen's injury. He was limping hard after that interview. 2 more wins, man. Best NFC championship in my lifetime. We need a win this year for this O-line. They need recognition. 18, the NFC championship didn't happen yet, but that might have been the best divisional round football game I've ever watched in my life. I mean, we were a part of it, so it makes it all the more fun, but holy mackerel, man, that was a crazy freaking game.
And didn't the snow add to it too, man?
Yeah.
I mean, the snow adds to it too, right?
It just makes it iconic. It really does. It makes it this own unique feel where the games have a mind of their
I'm
own.
gonna tell you something here before you move on to another super. Here, the Eagles will have the best roster in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl, no matter who they play.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree 100%. You got 3 teams left in the AFC. You got the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Ravens. I think the Eagles have a better roster than all 3 of those teams.
Yes,
and the Commanders, obviously. I think they're have a much better roster than them.
I completely agree.
Yep.
Okay.
Man, crazy game. I'm still winding down from watching that game. My heart was beating like a million miles a minute, man. Crazy. Let's get to Jason 18 again, who dropped a $20 super chat. 18, appreciate you.
How you doing?
There it is. I love the show. What a game. Barkley MVP. Hurts is hurt pretty bad, obviously, but the dude is a warrior. Hurts had a great game, I think. I'm with you, 18. He made the plays he needed to make.
Had a great game.
The sacks. Whole team just beat up, though. 2 more motherfucking wins, baby. Elite. Let's go, A-Team. I love it, brother.
Great. He had a great game, you said?
I think he had a great game.
Hurts had a great game.
He had a great game.
Okay.
Sills, there's one stat that matters this time of the year.
I'm not debating that because I think he was efficient.
There's one
stat
that matters.
The guy who starred is the guy with 205. The other guy was okay.
I mean, that's been the story all year. Jalen Hurts won the game.
Right.
No turnovers in a snow game.
Correct.
I mean,
okay.
Come on. You got to tip the cap. I'm tipping the cap.
You
don't have to tip
the game because of him. They didn't win the game because of that guy.
Look at Gary. Gary, are you silly-o-eyes? Gary is silly-o-eyes.
They won the game because of the Penn State kid, not because of that Bama kid.
Well, Oklahoma kid now.
Okay, Oklahoma kid. You're right. The last
That's what he calls himself. What do you want me to say?
No, I got you. I hear you.
Bearded Willie checks in. We are winning despite our quarterback.
Now,
Hurts killed him with sacks tonight and holding the ball. We almost lost because of that late game sack he took. Most teams are winning because of the quarterback, but we are overcoming ours.
He didn't suck in the game. He didn't suck. Okay. And he did his job.
15 of 20 for 128 with 70 yards on the ground.
I know. He's great. Hey. Dual threat. He was dual threat today. Hey, dude. That's what was more important in your opinion today, the 128 passing yards or the 71 rushing yards?
Clearly, the 70 rushing yards. That touchdown was huge, man. That touchdown was huge.
Yep.
There's no doubt he's got the threat with those legs.
You know what? I'll make a point to you, Zander. He's one of the better quarterbacks I've ever seen. That's a running quarterback that can throw it. I mean, guys don't throw like that and are like that. Same with the guy in Baltimore.
Jaden Daniels would make a word.
Okay, wait. I forgot the new kid. Wait, I forgot the new kid. I forgot. All right.
I mean, good night. I watched that kid launch a couple downfield last night. That kid can freaking play, man. Flat out play. Khaled checks in. How about that effing defense, Big Sill? The no-holes defense, Big Sills.
Gave up 405 yards in offense today.
Yeah, but how many takeaways did we have? Did
you have 3?
3 takeaways, I think, right?
What, 3 or 4, didn't you?
2 fumbles lost. No, we had 2 takeaways. Two takeaways and the big 4th down stop, obviously, late in the game.
And plus, I thought they really got going in that 4th quarter. They started getting pressure on Stafford. You know what, too? What drove me crazy with Stafford? Why the frig are you holding up? Throw the ball away. Don't take those massive sacks. He hurt them a bunch of series, man, with those sacks. By hanging on to it and not throwing it away.
Michael Robinson checks in. We're going to talk to John McMullen, by the way, who's live from Lincoln Financial. He was present for that snow game, baby. So we will see what Johnny Mack has to say when he joins the show in a little bit. Appreciate everybody being here. Don't forget to hit that like button for us. NFC title game in Philly, Big Sills. I'm ready to rock, baby. Michael Robinson says, now arrives the game that Jalen has to win with his arm. The knee injury is a blessing in disguise. Time to shut the critics up and cement his name in Eagles history. I don't believe he has to win next week with his arm. I'm sorry. I don't agree.
I don't either. I don't believe he has to win any game the rest of the year with his arm because of what you're doing. Barkley has shown you one thing. He's not out of gas. You know, you thought that – think about this. 340 carries. Now you add 26 more. This guy has had 366 carries, over 400 touches. Does that guy look tired to you? Boy, he doesn't look it to me. He's running away from people. This guy had 400 touches, Zander. That's unbelievable. And you got to give it to the Eagles on how they're keeping him fresh too by not practicing him during the week. I mean, they're just rolling him out there. He's never had more than 293 carries in any year. He's now at 366.
Another 30 today. He had 26 carries and 4 catches in the game. So good stuff there. Let's keep rolling here on Super Chats. Appreciate everybody checking in right now on the show. It's the voice of the fan checking in. Jason A-Team. Injuries to AJ and Hurts' knee is serious and would make this run so much more epic if we complete the mission. What a year it's been. Jacob killing it. I love snowstorms. What a day. Jason, I can tell you're a classic Eagle fan right now who's all jacked up on a crazy up and down snow game where your heart's going crazy. One minute you think you're going to win. The next minute you think you're going to lose. I mean, people are DMing me. We're going to lose. We're going to win. We're going to lose. It's back and forth all game. Just a crazy game, Big Sales.
Absolutely. And you go into this NFC Championship game with this on the docket now. I think AJ's banged up. I think Hurts is banged up. You don't have Nakobe. You may not have, let's just put 50-50 on Q.
I think it might be less than that, by the way.
Okay. Well, I don't want to play doctor here. I just want to, until we hear it.
Yeah, so you're right.
Okay. Fuck, the only guy not injured is Saquon Barkley, which is insane. So you're going to go into
the offensive line.
And the offensive, you're going to go into that
5 for 5 healthy.
You're going to go into that football game with some question marks at some key positions against Washington. Not saying Washington, because I think they got a guard hurt in that game up in the divisional game against Detroit. I think they lost an offensive lineman potentially, and he may not be able to go this weekend. So this is going to be interesting to see how Jalen Hurts and everybody rolls into this game, what kind of health they have.
Good stuff there. Chris Scott checks in. Sills is right. We passed too many times, made a lot of mistakes, and still won. Chris, I do feel like I feel like Sills is right where you should have probably ran it more. Even with Gainwell. Gainwell was running the ball well. But he only had 1 carry. Yeah. I mean, there was a couple touches he had, Gainwell, where he was picking up yards.
That's my bitch, Zander. It's just a couple passes in there that you could have burned more time, and you were killing them at 7 yards a carry. They couldn't stop it, and you got away from it. There's no reason to get away. If you're punching the guy in the face and he can't duck, fuck him. Keep hitting him in the head.
Especially when there's snow falling like that, and you're in that type of a game. See, that's one of those games where, AJ, you're going to have to be good with not getting the ball. Devontae, you're going to have to be good with not getting the ball, and just run the rock.
What'd you make of Slay's play?
I think he steps up when you need him to step up. I think there was a couple times that he got beat where Matthew Stafford was late with the ball. Very uncharacteristic for Matthew Stafford to be late. But overall, I think he had a great game, man. He continues to lock guys down in coverage and make it really hard for a receiver. If they do make a catch, Sills, it's a tough catch. That throw down the field at the end of the game was really just a better catch than it was a mismatch in coverage. But I thought he had a good game, man. I think he continues to play well at his age.
You know who gives him the benefit of the doubt of the refs?
I'm
saying it's a good thing because he's built the equity up where he gets the benefit of some. I thought he played exceptional. I thought he really was great in coverage in the snow. I mean, you know how hard it is to go backwards and then make a cut, and you've got to stick with the guy. I thought Darius Slay, that was maybe one of the better games I've seen him play in a month and a half.
Yeah,
he's pretty really good, man. That was a really good football game he played.
Yeah, the whole defense is really stepping up and having a good. Is that the say it with me, Sills?
The 405 defense.
It's not the
400 yards in offense defense.
The Lindbergh
cheese defense.
It's not the Lindbergh cheese. It's the no holes defense, baby. Showing up and showing out for this football team. Great stuff, everybody. We appreciate you all checking in. We'll get the more.
Let's do a fantasy here for a second before you move on.
Hit me.
If this Eagle team wins the Super Bowl, will it be the greatest football team in the Eagle era of the Super Bowl era? If they win this Super Bowl and go, let's see, they're now 17, 18, and 3. or 17-3?
No, they'd be 18. You're right if they won the Super Bowl.
Okay,
They're
so they'd be
16.
18-3. Would this be better than the 04 team, the 17 team, the 22 team? Would this be better than any Eagle team in the history of up at this? Let's just do this. Let's match it up against the 17 team.
Yeah, 17
Would this be the better run? Would this be the better run? And would this be the best team of all time during the Super Bowl era if they're able to win it?
I think it's close. 17's got to be the one that's the closest. You know, you had Godfather and you asked him that question, and I thought he had a really good answer. He's like, you don't have that 17 team. The thing with that 17 team is you had so much depth on that defensive line. You were getting the same level of pass rush on third down or you know, with your second player and third player as you were with your first player. Remember, you had Chris Long, you had all those dudes on that pass rush there. So I think
and your quarterback carried you.
And isn't there something special about the first? You know what they say, Sills? You always remember your first, right? I mean, come on, man. The first one, I think you got to go 17. But does Jalen Hurts make this one? Is he the reason that you're not going to give the credit to the, or you're going to give 17 the edge over 24?
As a matter of fact, who said that I didn't say it wouldn't be?
I didn't. I'm assuming. I'm asking you.
I think that this team, if they win it, it solidifies the last 3 years. And that 17 team didn't have a run like this. They didn't. What was the record the following year? 9-7?
Yeah.
Or 10-6?
And then we went 4-10, right? Yep.
Okay. Right? After 17.
Did we go back-to-back 9-7 after the Super Bowl and then go 4-10? I forget exactly how it played out, but yeah. You're right.
I thought you won the Super Bowl. Then you went to the playoffs. You went to the divisional round the following year against New Orleans, and you got beat by New Orleans.
Yep.
That was either a 10-6 team in 2018, or that was a 9-7 team. And then 2 years later, you'd have a 4-11 team. This team has done this. They went 9-8. Then they turned around and went 14-3. Then they went 11-6, and then they went 14-3 again. I mean, then you win the Super Bowl. You'd have to say that this run here might be the greatest run the Eagles have ever had in a 5-year span.
I think this is certainly the best stretch of football.
And then you start doing this. In the last 7 years, the Eagles would have gone to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. That's not bad, dog.
So you're going to give the edge to the 24 team if they close the deal?
Yeah, because the O-line is better than 17's O-line. You had backups in there, and I get the coaching was superior than it is right now than what you had in 2017 because it was better. But these guys may solidify themselves if they win it as well. I mean, Moore's going to go on and most likely be the Dallas Cowboys head football coach. So, I mean, you're going to see some guys getting job opportunities here. And what you get is this team coming back next year. There's really nobody except on the defensive side that you're going to have questions on that offense who's not coming back. It's going to be more the defensive side of the football that you're going to have to deal with. Milton, Zach Bond, Isaiah Rodgers. You're going to have to deal with that, what you're going to do with Sweat, what you're going to do with Huff. Where's he fit in the picture? Does Jalen Hunt and Nolan – by the way, Nolan Smith –
So we're going to the NFC title game. You're not going to make me think about Bryce Huff right now, are you?
Nolan Smith had a heck of a ball game today.
Yes, he did. How about the Georgia boys, man? They all stepped up again. Yep. Nolan Smith forces a fumble and Jalen Carter forces a fumble in that game. So just incredible work by those two guys. Good stuff there. We're going to get to all the super chats. Miguel, I see you, brother. We will get to your super chat. We appreciate each and every one of you. So Cilio is now saying that if the Eagles can finish the job, that Jalen Hurts will have led the Eagles to the greatest stretch of football in Eagles history.
Saying that Saquon Barkley, remember, he's a caboose.
He wasn't here in 22, though.
No, he wasn't.
But he went back a couple years.
This 2014, Hurts is a caboose, okay? And the engine is 26.
All right, I want to show you something. This team. I want to show you something because there's one other engine, all right? I want to show you one thing real quick. All right.
Caboose.
We're going to be giving away this on the channel this week. The greatness of Zach Bond, baby. We're giving away a Zach Bond jersey on the channel. I had to get it, Sills, because the guy's an all-pro, first-team all-pro, and he delivers again in the freaking playoffs, man.
Dude, he's a great football player.
He's a
My
great
God
player,
Almighty.
dude.
Hey, can you
The
imagine?
bald eagle. I love that nickname.
So who
for
are
him.
you more upset with right now? If you're New York, you're New Orleans, or you're the Jets, Becton, Bond, or the Giants by giving Barkley up? Look at what Howie did. Do you understand? Every one of those guys could be considered Pro Bowlers, and the other two are all pros.
It's got to be Barkley and the Giants because you knew how good of a player he was. Like, you can't fault the – well, maybe you can for not using him differently, but nobody expected Zach Bond to be there. We didn't have to pay big money to get Zach Bond. I mean, come on, you know, and who's the other one you said?
Howie signed 2 all-pros, not Pro Bowlers.
Oh, and then Becton, you said. Yeah, Becton wasn't good in New York, dude. You know, for whatever reason, I'm not blaming Becton.
Did you see Becton blow that play up and that hole up when Barkley went for that run? He threw that guy to the ground like he was yesterday's trash.
Yeah, he really did. He destroyed him on that play. Big thanks to everybody in the chat today. All right, hit that like button. We got a great rest of the show planned. I want to remind everybody as well, if you want to voice your opinion, all right, we do a post-game show here when Big Sills goes into Corona time. He steps off the show, and I bring on some of Eagles Nation. So if you want to join the show, stick around. We will be bringing on some Eagles fans tonight. I'm sure we will have some people who are fired up, Big Sills, to be hosting the NFC title game.
So fired up. You're back in the NFC title game for a second time in 3 years. You have. It's
good that you have a smile on. You started the show. You were a little grumpy at the start. I'm like, this Eagles team is getting a Big Sill.
No. You know, you guys are rolling along here. You know, you're kind of like in a boat. You got your oars out. You're rowing away. You're almost rowed to New Orleans. You're almost there. Zander, you're almost there. It's this close away. You guys gave an opportunity to the Rams to beat you, and you still hung on, and you found a way to get it done. Fantastic.
I'm starting to sense
from you. Championship.
I'm starting to sense from you, Big Sills, that you believe that this team is going to the Super Bowl. I sense it in the way you're doing the show.
Yeah, there's nobody left that you're not better than. You have no excuses. I've said this to you. You have no excuses. Holy cow. Fly Eagles. Oh, my God.
Say fly
Eagle fans.
Fly Eagles.
Oh, my God.
On the road to
victory. Look at this, man. Look at how these guys. Oh, my God. You guys are the best fans on the planet because you're some of the best shit talkers.
They are. And they should be. Look at
hey, and Reyes, I didn't say you were winning it.
Sills is Reyes' eyes.
That would be, hey, let me tell you something, son. We're going to get there. You're going to run into Mahomes, Allen, or Lamar. We'll see. You already beat Lamar. I think you're going to run into Mahomes again.
Lamar. We turned Lamar into a freaking trash can.
You're going to run into Mahomes again.
Lamar's worst game of the year was against the no-holes defense. I'm waiting for you to give Big Z the credit for the no-holes.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. Wasn't great in that game.
He was terrible. It was his worst game of the year.
He had 250 yards passing in a game.
He dropped out of the MVP conversation after that game. It took him 4 more games to get back in
it. And Hurts was never in it.
I don't care. We don't need Hurts to be the MVP.
I know you don't. You don't have to expect anything from your quarterback. It's the best
for me because I'm an Eagles fan, not a Jalen Hurts fan.
It's the best team built when you don't have to count for your quarterback to make a play. I love it. I think it's kudos. Congratulations.
MB is so silly. MB, you said the same thing today about Stafford and the Rams. What happened, MB? We win. What happened, MB? What happened, Big Sills? What happened? All the truth is that we can't win.
I picked you to win. Actually, my score almost ended up being right because I picked 28-17 in the ball game. In the game. No, I picked 28-10 in the ball game. That's what I picked. I mean, you know what? What'd they end up winning by? 1 score?
Yeah.
28 they kept the minute. Man. They kept the minute because of the passing game. I know.
Yeah, I had 24-17. It ended up being 28-22.
Okay.
What a slugfest, though. Kind of what I thought, man. I thought it was going to be an ugly game.
I thought the Rams showed up.
They definitely showed up. You got to tip your cap to them. They showed up. I thought Jared Verse showed up. I thought Nakua was kind of shaky today. He had a couple plays that I thought he should have just corralled that ball, and he wasn't able to make the catch.
Still almost had 100 yards receiving. He wasn't too bad.
Well, he had that big play late in the game.
Yeah,
that big play late in the game. I mean, you got to tip your cap there. That was
37-yarder. Yep.
Yeah, that was a hell of a dude. When he caught that pass, I'm like, no, don't do this to me. Don't tell me we're gonna lose on a Jake Elliott point after that we didn't get in the game. I thought for sure it was coming, but it ended up never coming. And the defense held up again as they have.
How do you feel about Kellen Moore's game plan?
I'm kind of with you on it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't think it was egregious or anything, but I thought there was easy moments in the game where just like
that's perfect.
Dude, you're at the 4-yard line, Sills. 4-yard line, and you have Jalen Hurts dropping back 5 steps. Wait, after he just tweaked his knee on the previous drive? Like, that's where I'm like, Kelly, come on, man. I was crushing Hurts for that sack to take the safety there, but why do you have him dropping back like that? I don't understand that. And that's what I kind of agree with you.
He just put the knee brace on. Why would you drop him back in the backfield in the end zone when you've got a snow game going and a guy who's averaging almost 10 yards a carry? How are you not thinking more clearly? Those were some of the things, again, Zander, that I thought kind of missed a little bit, or some of the situational plays that kept the Rams kind of in the ball game.
I agree.
I mean, they ran the ball like they always run the ball. But again, the passing and doing that, I mean, he only had 20 attempts. I thought it felt more because get this, he dropped back 20 times and he took 7 sacks in that ball game. I mean, dude, 20 passing attempts and you had 7 sacks?
Yeah.
That's a lot of minus yardage.
That's a lot. You're right. That's a lot. How about that Rams defensive line, dude? What is that, 16 sacks for them in the last 2 games, man?
2 weeks that they've showed up big time.
Last two playoff games, they showed up big, man. So you got to tip the cap to Jared Verse, but he didn't get the win today. Big thanks to everybody in the chat. We're going to get to that first commercial break. I've been teasing for about 12 minutes.
Lamar just threw a pick 6.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I told you that the Bills are going to win that game. Oh, man, I just saw it too. Bad play. So that game is going to be a good one. We will see what happens in that game. Melvin, I will get to your super chat, brother. Give me a second, all right? We're going to get to all the super chats coming up here. Let me read the one, Miguel, who wanted me to get to his. Miguel, thoughts on Kellen Moore going away from Barkley? Yeah, we just kind of talked about it. And putting it in Jalen's hands to take a sack. Pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, again, they just stopped the clock a couple times when they didn't need to, Zander, and it kept them. I thought it kept them in it a little bit. Continue to run the ball, man. I mean, look, and I'll say it again too. All kidding aside, thought Hurts was efficient. His running was clearly part of the win today. His legs and him being out there on the field. I just, again, one more time about AJ. Something's not right with him. He just doesn't seem right. He just seems a little bit more banged up than what they're reporting. I think
he did kind of insinuate.
He doesn't look explosive.
Yeah, I agree. He did kind of insinuate it too. If you listen to one of his locker room interviews during the week, he said, I'm just a little bit more banged up than everybody else right now is what he said. So I think it's a good call by you. I think he's a little bit more banged up than he led on to believe. But again, thanks everybody for being here. We're going to get to our commercial break. We will return in 3 minutes with more breakdown of the Philadelphia Eagles win over the LA Rams in the divisional game 28-22. And now we will host the Washington Commanders for the NFC title game in Philly. Boy, if I told you that in August, you would have laughed me off the screen. And
here's a quote by AJ with Parks and what he said. He goes, AJ says the conditions impacting everything out there on the field, including the passing game. He said, listen, I wouldn't want to wish these conditions on anybody and your worst enemy because it was pretty tough out there. So, maybe what Hurts did in a way with the conditions being the way it is, that's what McStafford did even more insane. No turnovers and 320 yards in the air. But AJ said that it was just absolutely brutal out there. And it was, you like you said, Zander, that's that stick snow where that shit's just piling up on the field.
Dude, I'm telling you, I went outside and I'm about 30 minutes from the stadium, man. That's thick, mucky, wet snow, man. That is not that nice soft snowflakes that were coming down. So that was definitely tough to play in. Good stuff, big sales. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate you, man. Hit that like button for us, and we'll be back in 3 minutes on the JAKIB Postgame Show.
Ignite your